It's 11:05 on WSIC News Radio, and you're listening to We're Just Saying with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. If you'd like to be part of our show, 844-STUDIO-4. We also are streaming live on the WSIC News website, Facebook page, X.
Yeah. Thank you.
I left it off. I left it off.
Yeah,
and all social media in between.
Yeah.
Per your directive last week.
We have established that we are going to fully embrace just the name X. But as a compromise, we can say a tweet back.
Yes.
Right.
That was that. You gave me that. I can still say tweet. I can still say tweet.
And I will say that for those of listeners who are enjoying our Rated X segment, we've had some really good ones this week.
Yeah, honestly, this is going to be a tough week to choose from. Honestly, we might have to have two segments with some of the clap back at you over the course of the But how has your week been?
It has actually been really good. And I do want to give a shout out to somebody. I was at the Costco gas station getting...
Love Costco gas.
I do love Costco gas. And so I was there getting...
It's not as good as Shop and Save gas, but it's solid.
Right.
It's
Shop
solid.
and Shave is a local shop that's owned by a town of Mooresville Commissioner
Eddie Dingler. Great guy.
And he also has an amazing butcher shop.
Oh, yes. 100%.
Locally owned and operated and sourced and everything. So
shameless plug.
But
it's fantastic.
It is actually fantastic. And I was sitting there pumping gas and talking to the gas station attendant. And then a nice gentleman said, I listen to your show all the time, even when I'm at the beach.
Really?
Yeah, it was a really good compliment. So thank you, sir, and I want to give you a shout out back for listening to the show. And it seems like we had a lot of good feedback from the show last week. So we're excited to bring it again this week.
Well, I know, exactly. And it's so funny. Some of the best feedback we get are the shows we prepare the least for.
Yeah. Well, then you're really excited for one today.
They're really excited for one today. Yeah. But no, we are professionals and everything like that. And I do actually need to make an acknowledgement myself.
Yes.
I did find myself on a different show on this station earlier this week. And I know that it hurt your heart a little bit.
You cheated on me.
I think that's exaggerating.
I do not think that's exaggeration.
No, I came in to help out our good friend Representative Jeff McNeely. Because he couldn't interview himself. So it's like, hey,
he could. Have you met him?
Okay, yes, fair. Okay. But I felt like that. He was like, hey, come in. Help me out with this. I was like, absolutely, I will. And it was only so I went up to the station up in Statesville, which we've not been to in a while.
Yes.
Because the one down here in Cornelius is so much closer, and this is also Studio C, and the C is for Coble. But I know that I heard through the grapevine that you were a little miffed at me for that. So I just wanted to let you know it was for a good cause, and this is my home. This is where I belong. I would never knowingly step out on you, so to speak.
Well, I forgive you for your sin because I can.
My sin.
Because I can match you.
Uh-oh.
I too stepped out on this radio show.
Where did you step?
To Sheriff Darren Campbell's show. I was a guest on his show.
You floozy.
I was a guest on a show on Thursday and enjoyed having great conversation with him. And so, yes, I guess we are so darn popular these days that people just want us to be on their show. Well,
I think, it's kind of like the guest judges that come in on X Factor, American American Idol and things like that. It's just, we're a brand now.
Yeah.
We're a brand now, Senator. It's just, and we're in demand. We're growing, we're building.
Yeah. I see that.
We have tens of listeners.
Yes, all tens of listeners are happy for that. Hey, speaking of tens of people, guess what? Right now, let's see, we have 51 minutes left until
candidate filing's done.
Until candidate filing is over. Yay!
So any of you folks out there driving around in your car wondering, hey, should I run for a public office? You have right at 50, I'd say probably 49 minutes to get yourself to Statesville or Raleigh if you want to run something for statewide or federal. But it's looking like we're going to have a very active primary season here in Ardell County.
Yeah, just like in a good Republicans that we are, and continuing the Republican on Republican violence, you'll see it coming to an email or your social media feed or your mailbox near you about how one person person is a better Republican than the other.
The most conservative.
The most conservative.
The most conservative.
Mostest conservative. The bestest conservative.
Yes.
The most amazing of person with the most beautiful family, and the smartest of all.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm the most conservative person ever. There's other people say that. I don't say that. Other people say that.
Speaking of which,
I could be the greatest conservative ever to serve inside this county, probably.
Very nice Trump impression.
Well, yeah. I do what I can. I'm not as good as others, though.
Yeah, I know. Well, he kind of made headlines this week.
He did. He absolutely did. Had thrown some endorsements around,
right?
And actually threw a second endorsement inside of another district, which I guess it's his prerogative to endorse multiple candidates inside of a district.
Yeah, maybe after the break we'll talk a little bit deeper about this. But question.
Okay.
At one time, and maybe it still is, but at one time, and a Trump endorsement meant like you can win a senatorial North Carolina Senate district. Arguably, no one had really put a lot of stock into Ted Budd's campaign for Senate, although I was a full believer from the beginning, just because he was our congressman, and I knew we had personally met him and his wife and worked with him many years and enjoyed his service in our 13th congressional district when he was our congressman. And then he was, in this field of Senate candidates with Patrick McCrory, former governor and mayor of Charlotte, and also Mark Walker, Congressman Mark Walker. And then they were in Greenville. And next thing you know, here comes a Trump endorsement for Ted Budd out of the blue. And so that was a game changer in that primary. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. Do you think that a Trump endorsement is that type of game changer now?
So, I think it probably depends on the district. I think inside of a congressional district, depending on how red it is, yes, I think absolutely that can be a game changer.
Sure.
For somebody statewide, though, I'm not so sure. I mean, again, there's been a lot of time passed between Trump was sort of at the height of his popularity and come that. So I'm not so sure that, and plus he's giving fewer of them. If you look and actually look, he's not giving as many as he used to.
Because he had some tough endorsements where he lost a little bit.
Last time around, the Trump endorsement, actually, a lot of the endorsements didn't work out very well 2 years ago. And so, I think in a district type race, county type race, probably, because depending on how red it is and how concentrated it is, but statewide, I'm not so sure it brings as much to it. Now, here's what I will tell you is that if you are a candidate, if let's take the flip side, right? If you're not endorsed by Trump necessarily, if you get the endorsement, I'm not sure that necessarily pushes you over the line. But if he comes after you and everything like that,
fair.
I do think that could be highly detrimental to a candidate inside certain types of districts and types of races. I do think that.
So we're going to talk a little bit in depth about the congressional folks who are up, and especially those that are in the contested primaries. But I thought something interesting. The generic polling data is published by Interactive Polls. Notes that in North Carolina, remember we picked up a congressional seat because we have so many folks who are moving into our area, arguably from blue states like New York and California. And they are showing that in a generic polling data, which means just like average, do you want Republican or Democrat, that the North Carolina GOP is at a 48% or +7 over the Democrats at 41%.
And honestly, that doesn't surprise me, given where we are from the national mood and who's in the office right now, and sort of the issues that people have with inflation and everything like that. So that actually does not surprise me at all, because when things aren't going very well, the party in power in the White House is usually the ones who deal the brunt
but
of
we
it.
also thought we were going to have a red wave last time, and the numbers would look
point.
like this, and we woke up and were sadly disappointed.
Very.
So we're going to see. Well, I guess we'll say that a lot now for the next year. We'll see.
Exactly.
It's all about voter turnout, everything else that they always say.
Exactly. You listen to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio. We'll be right back.
We're Just Saying with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer is coming up on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Already thinking about what you're going to do in the new year? Several performances scheduled at Kane Center for the Arts are already sold out. Some of the upcoming Kane Center performances include Rocky Lynn, Forever Young, Jeff Allen, and even a Stunt Dogs experience. To see the entire lineup and to purchase your tickets, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Want to see more than 5 million Christmas lights at one time? Speedway Christmas is back. Happening daily, the amazing Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now through January 7th. The show is open 6 to 10 p.m., rain or shine. The infield Christmas Village is open Thursday through Sunday nights. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway, now through January 7th. For tickets, visit charlottemotorspeedway.com. Santa is here. Schedule your time to take pictures between now and Christmas Eve in Birkdale. Appointments include time with Santa and 8 digital images from the professional photographer. For more info and to schedule your time with Santa, visit birkdalevillage.com. Come enjoy mistletoe sip and shops in downtown Mooresville this Friday. Open houses, store specials, sumptuous sips, divine deals, and yummy appetizers. Oh boy! This Friday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Mistletoe Sip and Shops this Friday night, downtown Mooresville. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. We're expecting to end the week with a beautiful day. Sunny skies and a high temperature of 56 degrees. As you head into the evening, skies are going to remain mostly clear. That low temperature tonight's going to be below freezing again. We'll be down at 30 degrees. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
'Tis the season on WSIC.
It's We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicky Sawyer on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. Like to be part of our show, 844 Studio 4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News website, Facebook page, X, LinkedIn, and all points in between. So before the break, we were talking about, overall candidate filing and the fact we have, 43 minutes left?
Yeah. I don't know. How's your math? I know you're better at English than you are on the numbers.
I am extraordinarily better at English than I am at the mathematics. Fortunately, I have 3 kids who are fantastic at math, which they obviously get from their much smarter than me mother. But yes, English,
communications is your
communications,
key.
English, understanding how to use them words and everything like that. That's, those Candler boys know how to do that.
Candler. See, I have not brought it up since you slammed me about the Candler references.
I don't mind you referencing my great hometown of Candler. The problem is you hick it up every time you do. Candler. You intentionally draw it out. And it's like so. In full fairness, I know that I speak in my regular voice with a Southern twang. I get that, but I don't know if any of you who have grown up in North Carolina, when you go back home or when you are with people who sound Southern, it is intentional. I go straight back into it. And for some reason, that word Candler, when I talk about Candler, North Carolina, it just slips right back in. In fact, my family or my daughters will look at me and go, "Who are you? Why are you speaking so Southern?" And I'm thinking, who is this person?
This was how I started the first 18 years of my life. That's how I sounded. So
when I came down to Charlotte to go to school, when I'd go visit back home, I got accused of sounding like a Yankee.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, it's amazing how regionally, depending if you spend enough time, where your dialect goes.
Yeah, I know. So, so speaking about that, then the state of North Carolina is now divided into 14 congressional districts. We had, like we talked on the show last week, a very significant retirement. But also with these 14 districts, we have an open seat. And we've, of course, we drew the lines as was constitutionally guaranteed by the General Assembly. And
fantastic job, by the way.
Thank you so much. There is a court case out there about these that were just recently filed on the same day, I think, as opening. But so we'll see where that goes. Thankfully, last time there was a court case that happened against the Senate. The judges threw it out pretty quick, saying that they did not allow for time. However, now candidate filing will finish in how many ever minutes here. And so we've got a pretty good list of what's going on. The true swing district in North Carolina, in other words, this is where they do like partisan index. And it just means this many folks who are registered Democrat live here, this many folks who are registered Republican live there. And then they also track their latest voting trends. And sometimes the partisan index will end like the past 4 election cycles, some go back 2 election cycles, but they take it, aggregate all that data, and they'll say this district leans like likely Republican. So anyways, we are looking at Congressional District 1, which is Northeast North Carolina, as that true swing district. Seems like every other one is either red or blue, depending on those data. So it looks like 1 swing district, 3 Democrat districts, and 10 Republican districts. So the 1 swing district that we look at is incumbent Don Davis. I served with him in the Senate. Very solid man, just can't say nothing bad about the man. But
Other than his party.
Other than his party, I can't say that's really bad. But he does represent that district. With kind of with what he's got on. We got Deborah Ross, who's incumbent. Of course, she's a Democrat. Greg Murphy, Republican in District 3, and Valerie Fouché, Democrat in District 4. So those are all pretty lockstep. There is an open seat in District 6, and that's the one we were talking about with Bo Hines, which you remember Bo Hines.
I do remember Bo Hines.
What do you remember about Bo Hines?
Very young.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
And Bo. I remember the name Bo.
Bo's a good name.
And I remember he did get endorsed by Trump.
He did. And in fact, as little as a week ago, he was, Trump said he was a very good candidate. Mm-hmm. And the next thing you know, Trump says, I like somebody else. I liked Addison McDowell.
Yeah, Addison McDowell has jumped in. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes up. Actually, get to that just right. We do have a caller. We actually have a caller today.
Oh,
so,
good. Hey, don't be so surprised.
I'm not, well, every now and then, a lot of times people just want to listen to us. But we do have a caller. Hi, you're on with Senator Sawyer. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you folks doing today?
Doing great. Hope
Fantastic.
You are. Good. I have a question about how they calculate inflation, and I was telling this other man that I calculated from 2 years ago what I used to buy, the particular groceries I buy, and the gas and insurance for my house and my cars, and just personal items. I'm not counting eating out and gift buying and stuff like that. I'm counting the stuff that I have, my basics. Mm-hmm. And my inflation figure is 28.5%.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's and honestly, you bring up a great point, sir. And thank you for the call. Is that the when we talk about inflation and you see it on the news and everything like that, obviously there's a whole formula that goes into it. But when you talk about what it feels like out of your own bank account, and how much more it's costing, you personally, I have no problem believing that expenses have gone up 28% for an individual, especially for groceries and things like that.
Yes, David.
I was listening to a report that last year credit card use went up 21%. This year it's gone up 30%. Mm. In other words, people when broke, they're not adjusting their lifestyle to what's on. Their checks haven't adjusted from their jobs, and their lifestyle hasn't adjusted, and they're putting themselves in more and more debt. It's scary enough that we owe, $33 million now in counting? Or trillion, I'm sorry.
It's trillion. Okay, no worries. Yeah.
And that's a whole nother deal. But when the average person is going in, is adding 30% to their credit card use every year, that's scary to me.
Agreed.
But anyway, get back to how do they calculate that figure of inflation?
Well,
do they have any idea?
I think, do you remember back in the maybe 6 months ago, economists couldn't even agree whether there was actual a recession or not, because President Biden was changing the definitions. So I am not an economist, so forgive me for not having an answer right at the top of my head. I do know that they look at indexes. They look at all kinds of other type of market trends from my couch surfing as I watch the financial news reports. But as to give you an academic answer, I do not have that answer.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's based, and thank you, sir, for the call. I think a lot of it's based on the consumer price index.
Yeah.
And how they, there's a couple different measures, but I think they look at it on the consumer price index.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I was told there would be no math when I came on this show. And so asking me things like that, that's where things get dangerous, because we literally just had a conversation about how bad I am in math.
But no, I do hear your point, and I take it very seriously. Just even in my own industry of insurance, we have seen a lot of things that are really pushing our what they call a loss ratio, which means how much you pay out for a claim versus how much you collected in premium. And some statewide, those companies are at 125% or higher. In other words, they paid out for every dollar they collect, they paid out $1.25, and that is fully a part of inflation. It's not because we are having greater losses; it is because of that inflationary cost. So yes, sir, we're seeing it all the way through every facet of our economy.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. Well, you know the definition of a recession, then, don't you? A recession is when your neighbor's out of work, and a depression is when you're out of work.
True story.
That's a very good saying. I was going to say it's a joke because it's kind of hits hard to home, but yeah, you're good. But David, thank you so much for calling on the show.
Thanks for the call, David. I think that's a high quality Ronald Reaganism there.
Yeah, very good. Well, so anyway, speaking of Reaganism, because again, we talk about thou shalt not have any Republican on Republican or speak ill of other
Don't
Republicans.
Speak ill of other Republicans.
It's season, it's time, and it's season, and so we're looking at in the congressional district 6, the heavy Republican district. Again, that's Bo, Hines, Mark, Walker, and now Edison McDowell. You're going to look at District 7. Someone who's a friend of this show District 8, which is kind of east of I-85.
Another open seat.
So we have got our very own friend, John Bradford, file for that seat. Another friend, Mark Harris, is also in that seat. Those are probably the two, I would say, well, at least most notable to me. Not to say that they're going to be the front runners, but those two that I have personal relationships with that is filed in there. So now we're going to go down to an incumbent for District 9, Richard Hudson, and then we've got our very own.
Yes, District 10, the open seat with the retirement of Congressman Patrick McHenry, also a friend of the show, but it looks like we have like 4 candidates in there right now, but really the main two that I think people are going to be looking at is Pat Harrigan and obviously our own Gray Mills from Iredell County. And so it's interesting to note about this race, because this is, I think, Harrigan's 3rd district that he has shopped to in an effort to run.
So he and Bo Hines, do you think they have the same car?
I wonder if they carpool together and like they can just drop one off in one district and the other continues on. Because I just, and Harrigan obviously not from here, grew up in California and everything like that, and then had run in the 14th district, I believe, a couple of years ago, and then decided that he would then run in the 13th district where Tim Moore is now running. And then when Patrick McHenry decided he wasn't running, Harrigan decided he was going to run here. So, obviously, as a rule from a constitutional standpoint, you do not have to live in the district and that you run in. But of course, I'm sure that he's found somewhere to place his boxes over the last little bit. But that race is going to be very, very interesting. Obviously, Harrigan seems to be an establishment Washington choice based off what we're hearing. Gray Mills, born and bred here, grew up in Iredell County, went to school in North Carolina.
Did he taught school?
He did teach school.
He taught school at South Iredell High School.
Yes, he did. And if you're really, really nice, there is a picture of him in front next to an overhead projector.
Yes.
If you kids don't know what that is, ask your parents. But no, he was a teacher in Iredell County, a great guy. Obviously, 100% my support is going his way, and I think he would be a fantastic congressman for us.
Absolutely. There's a few others that are going to be contested, but those are the kind of like the top picks. So we'll see what the next. Let's see, 30 minutes will bring.
30 minutes will bring.
Yeah.
You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News. We'll be right back.
We're Just Saying with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer will return after this short break on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
The 12 Days of Christmas giveaway is officially underway, but you can still get in on all the holly jolly happenings by registering at WSICnews.com/holiday. Gifts for him, gifts for her, gifts for the kids, gifts for me.
Hey, Dave, you're not eligible to win?
What? Dang it. Well, that's more for everyone else. Register now at WSICnews.com/holiday. Merry Christmas from WSIC.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. We're expecting to end the week with a beautiful day. Sunny skies and a high temperature of 56 degrees. As you head into the evening, skies are going to remain mostly clear. That low temperature tonight's going to be below freezing again. We'll be down at 30 degrees. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
Welcome to a Bible Minute with Pastor Randy Mitchell from Temple Baptist Church in Statesville.
Acts chapter 16 has an amazing story about Paul and Silas. They are thrown in a dungeon. We're preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now at midnight, the Bible says here that they are singing praises to God. Now picture this in your mind. They're in the dungeon, they're in chains. Rather than complaining and whining, they are singing praises to God. Well, God shows up and he sends an earthquake and he opens up the jail cells and everybody seems to be escaping. The jailer comes in and he's concerned that everyone has left. And listen, if you lost all of your prisoners back in those days, you would be executed. So this Philippian jailer, he is in a real tough case. And he springs in and he realizes that Paul and Silas are still there. And he asks this question. He said, "Sirs, what must I do to be saved?" And they answered and said, "Believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, and thou shalt be saved."
Thanks for listening to a Bible Minute with Pastor Randy Mitchell here on WSIC.
Hi, this is Andy with Lake Mountain Coffee located at 110 West Broad Street in Statesville. Did you know we also own and operate Statesville's first coffee roasting facility? We roast coffee beans for businesses, fundraising events, special occasions such as a wedding. We can even put a custom message on the back of your bags. If you're a company or simply someone with a coffee need, give us a call at 704-252-1886. And remember, if you want fresh, you must go local.
Folks, you know Randy Marion sells vehicles the King of Price way, but did you know our service department? We service vehicles the King of Price way. We sell tires, we sell brakes, we sell batteries, we sell the maintenance. We help you keep your vehicle on the road safe, ready to drive. Whatever the season is, Randy Marion service departments have you covered. Come see us today because, folks, again, you know we sell the King of Price way and we do service the King of Price way.
King of Price, RandyMarionStatesville.com.
Check out these great propane-powered deals from G&B Energy in Statesville, and you can get cozy with the new fireplace and save up to $350 in rebates on Cozy Heat fireplaces or receive a free on-off remote when purchasing gas log sets over $700. Best of all, when I take us water heaters start at $430 after rebates. Visit G&B Energy today off Highway 70 at 120 Entercraft Drive in Statesville or go to gbenergy.com.
It's We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicki Sawyer on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicki Sawyer and David. If you'd like to be part of our show, 844 Studio 4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News website, Facebook page, X, and LinkedIn, and YouTube. So before the break, we were going through the candidates. And so there's a few statewide races that all of them are up, which is always fun. But lieutenant governor, I think we're up to 232 people running for lieutenant governor
especially
now.
on the Republican side.
Especially on the Republican side. So obviously, we had some. Obviously, there was some. I think John Bradford had originally been looking at that, right? Treasurer. That's right. And so he's out running for Congress now. But lieutenant governor has been like an interesting new addition. Jim O'Neill.
Yes. Right. Yes. A district attorney out of Forsyth County who had ran for attorney general against Josh Sayin, and he was, I think, the only Republican Council of Race member that year that did not overcome Josh Sayin, and so he's putting his name in for lieutenant governor. But so lieutenant governor, like when you hear lieutenant governor, what do you think that means?
Honestly, I've always attributed it similar to vice president.
Sure.
Basically, you have no real responsibility outside of if the governor is out of the state or retires, or resigns or whatever like that. I really don't know that is there any constitutional duty outside of providing? They preside over the Senate. right?
Yes.
Okay, but
the
that's
presiding
really,
officer of the Senate.
and they vote if
there's a
it's
tie, which that's not really going to happen.
No, it has that rare.
Yeah.
So what does the lieutenant governor do?
They got a really cool house in Raleigh.
So they have their own house in Raleigh?
They have a house in Raleigh. So there's the governor's mansion, which is on Blunt Street. There is a house, I think, or two in between. And then there's the lieutenant governor's house, which is a beautiful home. It's it's really, really cool.
Very cool. Well, and I think in most instances, lieutenant governor is just generally viewed as a springboard to be governor, right? I mean, you become lieutenant governor because you hope one day to be governor, right?
I don't know. I think I would just settle right in.
Just settle right in.
Because, I mean, you don't have any responsibilities. I mean, you have a title, you have a home. I think you get drivers. You get to tour the state and get to learn all about North Carolina. And then, you preside over the Senate, but that's not very often that you preside over the Senate. And I do believe that they had powers before, and I did not research this before we came on the air. So, of course, feel free to come back against me if I misinform you on something.
I have no foundational basis for what I'm going to tell you, but I want to tell you anyway.
I'm going to tell you anyway. It's like a good gossip does. But at some point, they did have more powers, and there were stronger powers. But when they were under the Democrat control, I think there was either a Republican or an unfavorable person who was got elected as lieutenant governor. So the supermajority of the Democrats pretty much just neutered that position.
Really?
Yes, it did. So they basically made it kind of what it is today, which is just like a figurehead position, which, kind of surprises me that so many people want that. But again, like you said, I guess they look at it as a springboard to be governor.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think there's probably some real things that when you have a lieutenant governor of a different party than it's different than president, vice president, right? When you don't vote for governor and he has lieutenant governor running on his ticket, right?
Yeah.
And so when we've actually had governors and lieutenant governors of different parties a number of different times, I think, and so there's probably an inherent level of distrust between those. So as governor, you're probably not going to hand too much down for your lieutenant governor to do when they're in a different party, and plus you're looking at them as a potential rival in 4 years when you run again.
Sure.
Unless you're running for your eighth, because we are term limited in North Carolina. Thankfully, you can only serve 8 years as governor. But it's an interesting job, right? But there's no shortage of people jumping in and wanting to run for that.
Now I will say that they all of these people that are on your ballot as council of state. So that's going to be, of course, the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, auditor, treasurer, state of agriculture commissioner. I'm missing a couple sorry, I have them in my notes, but they all do sit on a council of state. So there is some sort of semblance of power there. And we actually changed that to be, especially in a state of emergency, to be a little bit even more powerful. Remember that Governor Cooper held us in a state of emergency for far too long. I feel like it was, how many days that was, I can't remember, but it was just almost years, I feels like. We did change the laws, the General Assembly, to allow the governor to issue a state of emergency. But now, after a certain time certain, maybe 90 days, then the Council of State will actually come in and vote to continue or discontinue that state of emergency. There are some other things that the Lieutenant Governor does. Sits on the State Board of Education. So I think that's why you saw Deanna Ballard, who really wants to be a part of this and be your next Lieutenant Governor, because she has that history in education and educational policy. So she does have a say there. So I was goofing around about Lieutenant Governor not really having a lot of power, but it's a lot different than, say, the state treasurer, who manages and maintains like the state health plan, which is the health insurance for everybody, and the retirement program, which is, billions of dollars of money that he has to manage and secure and take care of. The Commissioner of Agriculture, very strong, who sets policy for agricultural folks all over North Carolina. So some of those department heads who are elected do have a lot of power.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about it is that even though constitutionally it doesn't have a ton of responsibility, it also doesn't have a ton of what you might say handcuffs on it. It's not really handcuffed. It can be what you want to make it. I remember that when Dan Forrest was lieutenant governor, had a heavy focus on education, and really, I believe had an educational task force. Really sort of zeroed in on that as an issue that he wanted to highlight and try to do something about. And if you've got a Republican in the lieutenant governor spot, and you have a Republican-led General Assembly, then perhaps that there's more opportunity for a lieutenant governor to actually get in there and get some things done. So you actually have the flexibility to pick and choose a few things where you see issues issues and try to bring some, at least some type of, resolution and or, improvement to the table. So you actually do have more flexibility in that.
Yeah, and a bully pulpit, right, to get
And
your
a bully
point
pulpit,
across.
yes.
So that was kind of tongue-in-cheek, me goofing around. But, for the first time, I've actually seen some squabble on the Democrat side, Lieutenant Governor. Former Senator Ben Clark, or Senator Clark, has been running for Lieutenant Governor for quite some time, and he's facing off against current Senator Rachel Hunt. And he's such, if you ever meet Senator Clark in person, he is all smiles, very calm, former military, very well spoken, genuinely a nice guy. But he wasn't so nice on Twitter or on X this week.
Oh,
so
really?
yeah, he started throwing some Democrat on Democrat violence, and so I'm kind of excited for them to join in on the group on the party fun. We have also seen for Attorney General, very famous or infamous, I don't know however you want to say, former Senator Jeff Jackson, but also House member and Congressman Jeff Jackson's running to represent you as Attorney
And it's your
General.
fault, by the way. When he announced it's you guys' fault. The General Assembly, because you drew him out of drew his district in a way in which he didn't feel like he could win. So that's on y'all. How could y'all be mean to that poor little guy?
Yeah. Why don't you just, you know what? It's kind of disingenuous. Like, why can't you just stay in it and fight and think that you can win?
Well, and he had all those great TikTok videos.
He does have great TikTok videos.
I mean, I think he spent the majority of time in Congress making TikToks.
Yeah. Well, he did that in the Senate too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
I was just going to say, I didn't see him a lot of committee meetings, but I saw him online more than I did in sitting in the committee. I'm sorry.
Well, the TikTok take time, man.
I know.
If you're gonna be an influencer and be a content creator, you gotta. It takes a lot of time.
And poor guy. So like he wanted to file and try to clear the field for Attorney General, but now on the Democratic side, you have I think a DA from Durham who also has filed to run for Attorney General. So you're going to have a tight Democratic race over there. There's been a little back and forth bloodshed on that because remember, Senator Jackson or Congressman Jackson actually had stated that he was going to run for Senate, for federal Senate, and then the powers that be in the Democratic Party chose Sherry Beasley or backed Sherry Beasley. Up until they needed her. She needed him, right?
Yeah.
And then, so Jeff Jackson stood aside. So it seems like interesting enough that he must have some kind of internal pushback within the Democratic Party because they yet again are challenging him in a primary.
Yeah, and I am not privy to the inner workings of the Democratic Party, never have been, but it is kind of interesting that every time, you try to, if you're an individual who tries to switch into offices that are broader and you're not backed by your party each time, maybe at some point in time, you might think, hey, maybe I need to have a conversation with somebody or maybe not pursue these things. But hey, you got those TikToks aren't going to make themselves.
That's right.
And so there's only so much content that you can do as a congressman. So you got to change. You got to change every few years. Switch it up. Get them followers up.
I will say there's a nice steady flow of folks from the Charlotte region who are running for either Congress or statewide office. It seems like we are for so long felt like everything and most people came from the Raleigh hub. But I'm looking down through these Council of State folks, and there's a lot of folks who live actually or have served in Charlotte, like for the Democrat Braxton Winston for Commissioner of Labor. We have a local Democrat, Natasha Marcus, who's also running for Commissioner of Insurance. We have an auditor candidate right here locally, and Senator Jeff Tart, former Senator Jeff Tart, who lives here. Of course, Jeff Jackson is from our area. Dan Bishop is from our area, who's running on the Republican side. We have Jim O'Neill, like we mentioned earlier, for Lieutenant Governor from the Forsyth area. So it just seems like, and I know I'm missing some others, but it just seems like there's a lot of
former House member for our district, Robert Raleigh, running for insurance. And I think this is the second or third time I think that he's run for insurance commissioner. And so his name is in the hat too. So a little local flavor there.
Yeah. So it looks like we're getting a lot of folks who are focused in and around the Charlotte region and the Piedmont region who are standing up to be counted and hopefully represent us statewide.
Absolutely. You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio. We'll be right back.
There's more We're Just Saying with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer on the way from the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Already thinking about what you're going to do in the new year? Several performances scheduled at Kane Center for the Arts are already sold out. Some of the upcoming Kane Center performances include Rocky Lynn, Forever Young, Jeff Allen, and even a Stunt Dogs experience. To see the entire lineup and to purchase your tickets, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Want to see more than 5 million Christmas lights at one time? Speedway Christmas is back. Happening daily, the amazing Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now through January 7th. The show is open 6 to 10 p.m., rain or shine. The infield Christmas Village is open Thursday through Sunday nights. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway, now through January 7th. For tickets, visit charlottemotorspeedway.com. Santa is here. Schedule your time to take pictures between now and Christmas Eve in Birkdale. Appointments include time with Santa and 8 digital images from the professional photographer. For more info and to schedule your time with Santa, visit birkdalevillage.com. Come enjoy mistletoe sip and shops in downtown Mooresville this Friday. Open houses, store specials, sumptuous sips, divine deals, and yummy appetizers. Oh boy! This Friday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Mistletoe Sip and Shops this Friday night, downtown Mooresville. For more info, visit downtownmooresville.com. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
And now for a look at your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. We're expecting to end the week with a beautiful day. Sunny skies and a high temperature of 56 degrees. As you head into the evening, skies are going to remain mostly clear. That low temperature tonight's going to be below freezing again. We'll be down at 30 degrees. This has been your weather forecast from the WSIC Weather Center.
Here's wishing you a warm and happy holiday season. WSIC.
Now, more We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicki Sawyer on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicki Sawyer and David. Like to be part of our show, 844-STUDIO-4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News website, Facebook page, X, LinkedIn, YouTube. And actually, we break news here. We are. And like that, we are innovative. We are on the cutting edge of radio. And so we do have a on-the-field reporter, so to speak, at the Board of Elections, seeing if there's any late-breaking candidate filings. Commissioner Gene Hupp, how are you, sir?
Hey, good morning. Hope y'all doing well.
Doing well. So any last-minute filings, you might come sprinting in with their forms signed, ready to run for something up there?
The only one I know of so far is Brad Howard out of Mooresville filed for commissioner.
Okay.
County commissioner.
Okay. Well,
so
very good.
That put seven in our race. Vicki and I were talking earlier about, wonder if anybody would come and file, but so far she's safe. In her district 37 is the only candidate for re-election. So
and that's really the reason you were there, right, Gene? You were there to tackle really anybody that looked like they might be filing for her seat.
That's right. That's right. I've got my Florida State football helmet on and I'm ready to block.
That's right, because you played with Deion Sanders back in the day, which I always enjoy.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, so we have one new commissioner filing for Iredell County, and then nothing else that we know of, but there are still 10 minutes
nothing
left.
Else that I know of today, other than that, and I hadn't heard anything else. I called to check earlier, and just 5 minutes ago, and I think Brad had filed, right before I had called in.
So Commissioner Halp,
that's
now,
the only one I'm aware of today.
Commissioner Halp, I want to tell listeners to the show that this was not your planned activity for today, but I did call and say, Gene, we're going to be on the air from 11 to 12, and I wanted to have be a breaking news, cutting edge show here to see if anyone locally filed. So you were so kind to go over there and do that favor for me. So I appreciate it. Gene, before we let you go, because we have our Rated X segment coming up, is there anything you'd like to tell the voters of Iredell County?
I just tell them it's an honor and a privilege to represent them, and tell everyone to have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year if I don't get back on the air before the New Year.
Okay.
So I think there's one more school board member filing right now for on the Democratic side.
Okay.
Democratic side.
Okay.
But I think you're safe. You got 10 minutes. I've got the door blocked and barred. And so
we're joking.
Hopefully, David. Hopefully, I can get a cup of coffee out of this or something.
Okay.
You know what, brother? I will get you a cup of coffee, and I might even let you have cream. I might even do that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
On a serious note, I just want to say thank you for what you do for Iredell County and North Carolina, and it's a thankless job sometimes, but I just wanted to say that from a commissioner's seat, and tell you to have a Happy New Year and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Commissioner Haupt, for doing that favor for the show.
Thank you. Well, have a great weekend.
Thanks,
Gene.
So on the street reporting just now, live from Iredell County, was Commissioner Gene Haupt, who I strong-armed into going over there for me to see if anyone had filed. So I appreciate the work. Now, I guess we can do. Let's see our Rated X segment here.
Yeah.
So we need to remind everybody what Rated X each and every time.
Yeah. So Rated X is when we go back to your Twitter feed or your X feed and see the things that you have said and everything like that, and then see who responds to you. And so there's obviously several ones. You still continue to get comments on your reelection filing, though I do need to bring up one from earlier in this week when you said it was an honor to be at the NCDOT for the naming of Exit 30 on I-77 for Steph Curry and everything like that. And then Deer Creek Carini,
not again.
Ukraine flag and all. That's cute, Vicki. I would rather the section of I-77 between Mooresville and Charlotte to not be a profit center in toll roads for I-77 mobility partners. You just can't catch a break.
I am so glad that when you have an instrument that you can play with one tune, that you continue to play that one tune.
Well, I mean, everybody has to have one thing they do well, right? And but I'm noticing a pattern. The Ukrainian flag people do not like you.
So I have a Ukrainian flag too. So God bless. So we talked last week where I didn't initially file. We were looking at who was going to be an Iredell County candidate for the 10th district, and so I waited to see how that was all going to flesh out. I'm so thankful to. And always intended to file for Senate. But I would, anyway, so I did. I went in and I filed on this week, and I announced this that it's official. The press release went out. Thanks to Iredell Free News for picking it up in our local papers. But I said, it's official. We filed for re-election to the North Carolina General Assembly. We're accomplished a lot, and there's a lot more to be done. I'll continue to work to connect with voters and share our message and learn more about the issues that matter to you most. And Meg is very funny. So Meg, who is
Ukrainian
peaceful,
flag.
No Ukrainian flag, but Meg, who's very peaceful because she has a peace sign. Peace sign people don't like me either.
Okay.
I didn't know if there's a reason. Am I violent?
I think you trigger a lot of people.
I do.
If I'm in fair, you trigger a lot of people.
Why?
I don't know. I mean, you're mean.
So Meg says, fortunately, there's a qualified Democrat running against you who's going to relieve you of your seat. Adios.
Clearly, Meg, highly in tune to the electorate here in Iredell County.
So anyway, so that's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I had a Senate. I mean, I didn't realize that I had a Democrat who'd filed against me. I was like, oh, okay. So I go in and said, yes, indeed, there's someone who's filed against me on the Democratic side, and welcome to the show. I appreciate, somebody putting their name on the ballot because it's not an easy thing. It's it can be very daunting. But I do appreciate this candidate's humor. So her title of her website has her name and says, "She can't win North Carolina Senate District 37." So District 37 is so gerrymandered that I don't stand a chance.
Well done.
But we deserve to have 2 names on the ballot. So to Meg, I'm sorry, even your candidate doesn't think she has a chance. So I'm not sure that there is a qualified Democrat running against me.
Well, but I mean, what it takes to be a qualified Democrat, the bar's pretty low in this district.
You can't do
in this district. I mean, I'm saying not like as a person or as a capability. I'm talking about as a capability and ability to win in this district, right? Being a qualified Democrat generally in an electorate is someone who has a chance of winning.
Yeah.
And it's simply not going to happen. Now, people still have to get out and vote and everything like that. But it's a but that's what I meant. I wasn't throwing shade on whoever it is, the nice lady that. But obviously, she's a realist.
Well, and I like the humor.
She gets it. I love the humor,
too.
too.
The humor's funny. I mean, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm sure the Republicans who file for a Senate seat in Mecklenburg County feel the same way. They can't win. I would argue are those seats gerrymandered well? Or how about a Charlotte City Council person? I mean, they are the ones who draw their maps, and they purposely draw them for not to have a really competitive. So I guess it's okay when Democrats do it.
Well, yes.
Okay.
We've established that.
And I'm not saying that we did.
Good for me, not for thee. That's the way it works.
We have talked on the show before. There is no way, because we as a people gerrymander ourselves. I mean, we tend to, if you are a Republican, tend to live in rural districts, and if you're a Democrat, you tend to live in. That's not always the case, but it seems like we always, cities are blue. Countries are red. Country is red. It's just the way it works. So there's no way to draw a district that would include us, except for if you went to the heart of Charlotte to Yadkin County and put it in a pie formation. Yeah. So that's just not going to happen.
I've actually seen maps before that were sort of drawn as jokes around Charlotte, that in order to get blue through Charlotte, basically it was almost like horizontal lines, just taking portions of Charlotte and going like east across Charlotte west with all the population center in Charlotte, and then basically doing the same thing with Raleigh, going out east from Raleigh and west from Raleigh, and you just get all you can get a lot of blue inside of that if you draw those that way.
Yeah.
And not very constitutional, obviously, but you can get there. So I'm sure that next time Democrats have the power of the map drawing tool, that we'll probably see some real. Of course, we saw some creatively drawn districts way back in Roy Cooper's day when he got his seat into the North Carolina House. But it is good. I'm glad that you filed again. But there's I'm just reading through. So a peace flag, a Ukraine flag. Is that a golf green and a hockey puck? I
think a hockey puck and a blue wave.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Oh, blue wave. I get it. Blue wave. Clever.
Yeah.
Maybe why not get the right for women to vote repealed?
Okay, now
wouldn't
wait a
that make it easier to stop them? Oh, and what if you need an abortion and you're told no? Or do you have a free abortion pass? Wow.
Yeah.
Man, Agent Joe Mick Incognito. That's his real name, of course. Your district is so gerrymandered in your favor, so you'll win, but not fairly.
Oh.
How do you sleep at night knowing your election was fixed up front?
Oh.
So answer the man's question.
I do.
Or Pam, sorry. How do you sleep, Senator?
Well, I don't sleep at night a lot of times, but it isn't because that I feel like my district was unfairly drawn. I have sleepless nights, but it's not because
of things that keep you awake. That's not it.
And obviously not things that I see on this X world. So, so it's just, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta laugh.
You gotta
At least it's good for entertainment.
It is good for entertainment. I guess I am appreciative of all the folks and providing content for this last little bit of our show.
Oh, hey, I actually appreciate it.
There's danger.
What's the danger?
The danger is this. So I was tweeting out about X. I was tweeting out about X. I was tweeting last night about being able to go to Sheriff Darren Campbell's Christmas party and awards banquet for his deputies, and some amazing stories were told. And I was tweeting it out, and then I saw this new pop-up, and it said, allow only those who you are responding to in this tweet to respond. And I was like, ooh, I might have to kill. It was so hard for me to allow others to reply because
no. This is gold.
Danger.
This is radio gold, man. We have to have these things.
Oh no.
So is your Christmas shopping done?
No.
So headed home to sit down in front of the Amazon. My wife handles all Christmas shopping.
Okay, good.
And that's by design. That is her taking things on because I'm notoriously bad at those things.
Okay, well, good. Well, glad that you have a stress-free Christmas. Good for you. Bad for Amanda.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, we still got to go visit family, right? Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great weekend.